This podcast is part of the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network, the network for first responders and those who support them.
All right. This is going to be quite a Scissors and Scrubs episode.
Yeah.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Laura.
This episode, we're going to call it Nurses in the News. All right?
Not Nurses in the Nude.
Not in the nude.
No, news.
My accent's apparently bad. One of the girlfriends was like, I thought you said aided her out too. I'm like, that's not a fucking word. When we were talking in the Bridgerton, you were like, aided her out. I'm like, aided is not a word. I would have said ate her out.
It was questionable.
She said, I thought the same thing. I'm like, whatever, guys. Whatever. That's like I'm doing my yard over, right? And I bought ornamental grasses in red. So my mother's like, what did you buy? I'm like, so ornamental grasses grow like a bush. And they're decorative.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
And so they have variegated red leaves. And my mother's like, I don't get it. I'm like, Ma, they're right here in front of you. Look, the leaves are red. Oh, I thought you put red grass down. I said, when have you, in your entire 83 years, have you ever seen fucking red grass? When have you ever seen red lawns? Mom, come on. Think about what you say before you ask me something that ridiculous.
I've heard of bluegrass.
Bluegrass looks kind of blue.
Yeah.
Red?
No, that would be
red?
Too much.
Like, come on. Sometimes I swear my mother does it on purpose to piss me off.
Yeah, probably.
Who asks a question like that? All right, so we're off topic already.
Anyways.
Okay, so we're going to discuss one of the nurses that has really been in the news.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to discuss a case that I thought would be very straightforward. Turned out to completely not straightforward. And everybody has a different opinion about what should happen in this case.
Fun.
So this is going to be fun. So we'll save that one for last.
Maybe
I
we'll
think
get
that's
in a fight.
Maybe. I think we're going to think the same thing. But,
Okay.
It's how this is subjective and like how everybody's coming at it in a different way is pretty funny because it's concrete video. Like there is video of what happens, but everybody's got a different opinion about what should have happened to these people. All right. So Laura, take it away. Go first.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to talk about Redonda Vaught. I think pretty much everybody
in the nursing profession's heard of her.
Yeah. She's a nurse from Tennessee. She worked at Vanderbilt. And she was criminally indicted on abuse and reckless homicide charges after she gave a patient the wrong medication, which led to her death. It's a huge uproar because I think like in the 90s or something, hospitals started allowing people to report errors without being punished because they wanted people, instead of hiding errors and no one knowing what happened or what's going on or, pushing things under the rug, they wanted people, nurses, doctors, anybody to say, I made an error. This is what happened.
But
and then the hospitals would use that, the person wouldn't be penalized because they're saying, I made a mistake.
Right.
But they would use that information to then change things so that mistake would not happen again. Instead of you push it under the rug,
and
no one owns up to it,
right.
and nothing gets changed, and it happens again. So this reporting, incident reporting, came about to help prevent further medical errors. The person wasn't penalized; they were not doing it intentionally. It was a mistake. Yeah. We are human.
People make mistakes,
right? So the uproar is they're afraid that this is now going to backpedal on the reporting because people are going to say, why am I reporting it? I could go to prison for this.
They have set a precedent.
It's a precedent now. You can go to prison for a mistake. So anyways, nurses are in an uproar, obviously. Mm-hmm. This case, though, is confusing because if you hear, I'm like, okay, but what exactly did she do? And how, this happened 3 or 4 years ago. Why is it now she's being charged criminally? Right. And how did this all come about? So I found this timeline online, and it literally goes on I'm gonna almost kind of just read it because it tells you exactly what happened with this case. Mm-hmm. So,
because to be honest with you, I haven't really dove into this case.
Right, but you just hear it and you're like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. But anyways, okay, so in October of 2015, Redonda Vaught is a licensed nurse, and she begins working at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which is the largest hospital in Nashville.
It's a big facility. It's a big teaching hospital, right?
And it's one of the most respected hospitals in the country. It's a big to do. On December 24, 2017, Shaolin Murphy, who was 75, a longtime resident of Nashville, like a suburb of Nashville, checks into Vanderbilt for a subdural hematoma, so she has a brain bleed. On December 26, 2017, Shaolin Murphy is improving, and she's almost ready to leave Vanderbilt. They want to get a final scan before she goes, make sure the blood's resolving, she's not bleeding anymore. So she goes to the radiology department, and she's claustrophobic. So they're going to give her Versed, which is a sedative, so she can lay still, relax for the scan.
Many, many, many people have had Versed, or Versed as I call it, before you have a procedure. It's usually the first thing they give you to kind of calm you down.
Yeah.
The little dots in the ceiling will spin, and it just calms you down.
Makes you kind of a little drunk.
Yeah.
But she's accidentally given vecuronium, which is a very powerful paralyzing agent. She is left brain dead because of this. You can't breathe if you're on this drug. Everything is paralyzed. Your diaphragm is paralyzed. You cannot breathe. Redonda Vaught is the nurse that gave her the vecuronium. She immediately says, when she realizes, oh my God, I gave her this. I gave her this drug. She can't, she's paralyzed. She can't breathe. This is what's happening. And they treat her, but she is left brain dead because of the lack of oxygen. December 27, 2017, Shaolin Murphy's family gathers at Vanderbilt to say goodbye. She's brain dead. She dies at about 1 a.m. after being disconnected from life support. So later that day, on December 27th, 2 Vanderbilt neurologists report Murphy's death to the medical examiner without mentioning the medication error. They never tell the medical examiner there was a medication error leading to this. And Murphy's death is attributed to her brain bleed, and it's deemed natural causes. Ooh. They don't do an independent investigation because of she had a subdural hematoma. She died. She was left brain dead. They said, okay, not like a medical examiner's case. We're not doing an investigation. It's over. January of 2018, Vanderbilt officials take several actions that obscure the medication error.
They're covering it up.
Yeah, from the government and the public. It's not reported to state or federal officials, which is required by law. If there is an error, a medication error, other kinds of errors, you have to report those to your governing bodies.
In Massachusetts, it goes to the Department of Public Health. Right. We leave a sponge in, the Department of Public Health comes out, and there's a big investigation.
Yeah. And the Joint Commission was not told. It's an accrediting agency. It recommends but does not require reporting, but you should report it to them. If you report these things to them, they come up with an action plan to prevent them. And Vaught is fired by Vanderbilt in January of 2018. In early 2018, Vanderbilt settles out of court with the Murphy family and requires them not to speak publicly about the death or the medication error.
I got a bunch of questions already. Okay.
I
almost feel like I should be writing them down.
I know. It's not released publicly, this settlement. No one knows about this. Did you have any questions now?
I thought nobody knew this happened and there was no investigation. So how does the family have a settlement with Vanderbilt?
Because she was improving.
And but that's it. They don't say why she's getting...
The family knows. When Vanderbilt makes this settlement, they're told they cannot tell. You're going to get this...
Why would... If it was just like she had a brain death, this and that, it would have been over, right? Like, if they came and said to me, my mother died...
Right, I don't know if the nurse said
I feel like there's a missing link between we've called it a brain death from the subdural and it's closed to all of a sudden they're settling with the family over a med error.
But it's all in-house.
But the family didn't know about the med error, right?
No, the family did.
From the beginning?
I believe so.
Okay, all right.
But everything's in-house. Nothing has left Vanderbilt. The family knows from Vanderbilt. They go to Vanderbilt. Okay. They sue
Okay.
I don't even think they sue them. I think Vanderbilt just gives them money and tells them.
That's just sign one. There's a big problem.
And tells them. It's early 2018. It couldn't have gone through the courts.
Right.
You can't speak about this.
Okay.
You are not to
gag
mention
order on the family.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to give you this money. Don't mention this, though.
Okay.
Vanderbilt is being very shady. In May 2018, Redonda Vaught begins working as a throughput coordinator at a medical center in Nashville. it's not a clinical position,
Mhm.
but it does require a nursing license. So she is no longer working like with
Which
patient
there are
care.
many positions out there like this. This is not shady. There you can work
No,
for an
yeah.
insurance company. You can work for other just.
Right.
You
And
can be a
honestly,
nurse and not touch patients.
if God forbid, you were involved in this, and you gave somebody the wrong medication,
I'd
you
never
would feel,
wanna-
I
yeah.
could never do
I
it
would
again.
never-
And
yeah.
that's probably why
Where
she
she
took
was,
a
yeah.
non-clinical job, but whatever. Either way, she's working as a nurse, but not in clinical care.
Mm-hmm.
On October 3rd, 2018, an anonymous tipster alerts state and federal health officials to the unreported medication error. So now,
This is somebody that was there.
yeah, someone that it didn't sit well with.
Mhm.
Like, why are you lying? Why are you covering this up?
Mhm.
October 23rd, 2018, the Tennessee Department of Health, which is responsible for licensing and like,
Like the TPH,
investigating medical professionals, decides not to pursue disciplinary action against Redonda Vaught.
Okay.
She does not need disciplinary action, they decide. They write a letter to Vanderbilt. The agency investigative director says the case did not constitute a violation of the statutes and or rules governing the profession, quote unquote. So she did not do anything that violates the rules of a nurse. She didn't do anything against,
Okay.
out of
Practice.
practice. On the same day, Vaught is sent a letter saying this matter did not merit further action, quote unquote. So now the Department of Health has learned about it, looked into it, and decides nothing needs to be done. October 31st to November 8th, 2018, in response to the anonymous tip, the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services conducts a surprise inspection at Vanderbilt. The inspection confirms that Murphy died from an accidental dose and that Vanderbilt did not report the medication error to the government or the medical examiner. So they look into it. They said, yep, this is exactly what happened. She was given the wrong medicine and Vanderbilt did nothing about it. Late November 2018, the circumstances of the medication error become public for the first time. So like a year later. CMS releases an investigation report that details the error without identifying the patient or Redonda Vaught. They threaten to suspend Vanderbilt's Medicare payments, which would like cripple the hospital, if Vanderbilt did not prove it has taken steps to prevent a similar error. This is all they want you to do. They want you to report it so you
Make
can
sure it doesn't happen again.
make steps so it doesn't happen again. Vanderbilt like responds right away with a quote unquote plan of correction that they say, okay, yeah, that's fine. That plan is fine. Go forward with that. And it secures its Medicare reimbursements. Vanderbilt declines to release the plan of correction, though. They don't say what they're doing to fix it. They just say they have one. February 4th, 2019, Redonda Vaught is publicly identified for the first time when she is arrested on a criminal indictment for her alleged role in Murphy's death. She is charged with reckless homicide and impaired adult abuse.
Oh, come on.
That's also the first time that the patient's identity was revealed. They did the Tennessean, which this is, I believe, from that, interviewed Murphy's family members, and they all say they would forgive Redonda Vaught. Like,
It was an accident.
right. On February 5th, 2019, Vanderbilt executives speak about the fatal error during a meeting with the Tennessee Board of Licensing Health Care Facilities, which is responsible for disciplining the hospital. The CEO admits the death wasn't reported to state regulators and said that the hospital's response was, quote unquote, too limited. They also confirmed for the first time that they negotiated a settlement with the Murphy family. The board takes no disciplinary action against Vanderbilt. The nurse is arrested.
She's on criminal charges, and Vanderbilt
with
has
criminal
nothing.
charges. Vanderbilt, who she said, I made a medication error. This has to, you know, this is what's happening. Let's try to save her. You know, she came right out and said it. She's getting brought up on criminal charges, and the hospital, who swept everything under the rug, kept it all secret, didn't report it, didn't do anything it was supposed to do, has no disciplinary actions. February 8th, 2019, a GoFundMe was started for Redonda Vaught, and it raised more than $100,000, like, and mostly from nurses around the country. February 20th, 2019, Redonda Vaught makes her first appearance in the court for her criminal case and enters a plea of not guilty. It's attended by several dozen nurses, the hearing, and people, not just from around the area, like people travel from all over to support her. Yeah. Her criminal attorney, is insisting that Vanderbilt needs to share the blame for this death, and the Peter Strantz is the criminal defense attorney, and he's quoted as saying, "I think when this case is tried and the facts come out, it's a mistake, and it's not all of her fault either. There are some real systematic problems with the way they dispense medicine through that automatic dispensing system." End quote. March 27, 2019, the prosecutors reveal way more details into the case. Investigators allege that Vaught made 10 separate errors when given the wrong medication to Murphy, including overlooking multiple warning signs that she had the wrong medication. Court records state that Vaught would have had to look directly at the warning saying, "Warning, paralyzing agent," before injecting the drug. Court documents also say that Vaught admitted her error to investigators. August 20th, 2019, the Nashville medical examiner re-examines the circumstances of Murphy's death, and now they're aware of the medication error. They change the manner of the death to accidental instead of natural. It's an accident. On September 27, 2019, the Tennessee Department of Health reverses its decision not to pursue professional discipline against Vaught. They charge her with 3 infractions. The agency refuses to explain why it reversed its prior decision. Vaught is charged with unprofessional conduct, abandoning or neglecting a patient that required care, and failing to maintain an accurate patient record.
How did she abandon and neglect this patient?
I don't know. It doesn't say that. Bullshit. I don't know if it's because it took a while to get the med or...
Well, do you have a line of events of what actually happened?
No. So I couldn't find anything that said exactly which... Because I think some of it's...
Yeah.
The patient needed Versed. She went to the Pyxis, which is whatever they have, which is an automatic drug dispensing machine. So you put the patient name in, you put the drug that you want. Pharmacy is supposed to okay the drug for that patient and put it in the Pyxis. But when you work in a unit, she was down in radiology that day.
She was like a...
And she was floated there.
Nurse's supervisor or something, right? She was like a hospital wide. She responded
like a float pool or something,
yes,
I think.
Yes.
So she didn't always work in radiology. So it was not your place of work, but we're so super short that you have to be floated to different areas. And so she goes into the machine and she can't find Versed. So she puts in V or VE and virocuronium comes up. I believe she had a nursing student with her or a orientee with her. So she's distracted. She's talking to them. They want to get the scan done. They're probably pushing her, right. Hurry up. She can't find the med. She puts in VE. This comes up. She hits it and dispenses it. You have to override it because it wasn't. We override a lot of stuff. It wasn't for that patient. Right. But she's not on a floor either. So we put in floor stock for a lot of our meds because it's not under our patient name in our Pyxis because we work in an operating room. They come up emergently.
They're not in the system yet. Right.
But even their drugs aren't in that system. We have to override a lot to get drugs out. At that hospital, it was common practice that you had to override to get meds out. Mm-hmm. In an emergency situation, you override for meds because you have a patient who's coding. They're not in their Pyxis. They're not set up to get these emergency meds. It's not under their name. You have to override it to get out emergency meds. You have to override these systems a lot, which is awful, but it is a standard work practice is to override. Anyways. And then she gave it to her, which on the bottle, it says paralyzing agent.
And I heard it's mixed differently than Versed. Again, it's all hearsay. Johnny does hearsay.
Yes. I don't know. One of them is already you don't have to mix it. The other one you do have to mix.
Right.
I don't know. And I wouldn't know that.
Right. I've never given either. So I don't know.
And maybe she didn't know that because maybe she's never given either. I'm like, okay, great. If you gave both of those all the time, maybe. But if you never gave those, I wouldn't know that I have to mix this one, but don't have to mix this one.
Right.
Anyways. Then the label on the bottle does say paralyzing agent. She obviously did not check the vial, but I think she said that. I didn't check it. I think she admitted every single thing that she did. She never did it intentionally, giving her paralyzing.
There was no intent to hurt this patient.
Anyways, okay, so the Department of Health charges her with unprofessional conduct, abandoning or neglecting a patient that required care, and failing to maintain an accurate patient record. The charging documents say Vaught could face thousands of dollars in fines and suspension or revoking of her nursing license. Late October to mid-November 2019, because Vaught's now facing 2 legal proceedings, a criminal trial and the professional discipline hearing.
Trial kind of thing, yep.
Yep. A debate begins over which case should proceed first. Vaught's attorney attempts to delay the discipline proceeding until after her trial, arguing that if she defends herself by testifying in the discipline hearing, prosecutors can use that against her at the criminal trial. However, attorneys for the health department oppose this delay, insisting that Vaught is an urgent
she wouldn't be an urgent threat
public.
if you just revoked her license and suspended it until the trials are over. They could have done that, and she can't work as a nurse.
Right.
No more threat.
Right. So, because she's still working with her nursing license, even though it's clinical care, that's what they use it. Well, she's still working as a nurse.
So take her license, suspend her license. Right. You do it for fucking driving.
So the administrative judge decides not to delay the proceedings, saying Vaught's desire to delay the hearing is outweighed by the seriousness of allegations against Miss Vaught. So on December 15th, a Tennessean investigation reveals how actions taken by Vanderbilt officials obscure the circumstances of Murphy's death. So an article comes out saying Vanderbilt
is a big part of
lying.
this. Yeah.
It also has a quote from the grandson, Alan Murphy, and says a cover up. That's what this screams. They didn't want this to be known, so they didn't let it be known. Vanderbilt declines to comment. January 16th, 2020, Vaught's attorney files a motion asking a county judge to overrule the judge that said, no, let's do the disciplinary hearing first. May 20th through the 21st, 2020, Vaught's professional discipline hearing is scheduled at a quarterly hearing. July 13th, 2020, Vaught's criminal trial is scheduled to begin. So the spring of 2020, it was COVID. So it delays both the disciplinary hearing and her criminal trial. February 24th, 2020, her professional disciplinary hearing is scheduled to begin at a meeting of the Tennessee Board of Nursing, but her attorney petitions the county judge to delay the hearing. It's temporarily delayed for her. And then everything's screwed because COVID. So the courts were just shut down. So July 22nd, 2021, her medical disciplinary hearing finally begins. During her testimony, she said, it's completely my fault. She didn't double check the medicine. Mm-hmm. She takes complete ownership of it. I didn't double check it. I did do that's wrong. But they also argue that the mistake was made possible because of the flawed procedures at Vanderbilt. It was struggling with a problem that prevented communication between its electronic health records, the medication cabinets of the Pyxis machines in the pharmacy. So there was they weren't connected somehow. And this was causing delays at accessing medications. And the hospital's short-term walkaround was to override the safeguards on the cabinets so they could get drugs quickly as needed. That was their workaround. It was an established workaround. You had to override this to get your meds because something is wrong with the system. You couldn't get a bag of fluids for a patient without using an override function.
Yeah, all right. This is why I don't always think computers are the best thing in the world.
I know. July 23rd, 2021. The Tennessee Board of Nursing revoked Vaught's nursing license. The board appeared sympathetic to her, but they couldn't overlook her errors, which she did make a med error.
I'm not saying that I disagree with revoking her license. It's pretty extreme, but that's a pretty big error. You killed somebody.
Because of a medication error, you did not check double check your medication, which you're always supposed to double check your medication.
Check it with somebody else.
A patient died. I have no problem with
I don't either.
the revoking of the license.
Right.
That I have no problem with. So she loses her license March 21st, 2022. Her criminal trial begins. And on March 25th, the trial ends and the jury finds her guilty of criminally negligent homicide and abuse of an impaired adult. She still has not been sentenced. It took 4 days.
4 days. Mm-hmm. And this is stuff. So Brian and I were having this argument the other night. I almost feel like medical professionals need to be tried by a jury of medical professionals. And he completely disagreed with me, of course. That's not the process, blah, blah, blah. But do you think they have any fucking idea what's being said to them?
And you know what? Most nurses are in an uproar against. You can't say all, because not all are.
Right.
Most nurses are in an uproar about this because you don't understand. I say it at work. Someone at work said to me, please, she is guilty. She killed her and blah, 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 blah. Like, she fucked up. She went, and I said, do you know I have to, we don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had to override twice to give any patient heparin.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put in the system that I was overriding that medication twice to get it in there. And I said, so if God forbid something happened and they looked back at my record, I overrided that twice. I said, so I'm going to go to prison for that?
Take the overrides out of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of that. This isn't a case where you got this psycho injecting people to feel like a super nurse.
Right.
It was a fucking accident. There are nurses who make accidents. Like, accidents happen in hospitals all the time. I should say it that way. It happens all the time.
Yes.
Emergency situations, overworked. It happens. And I understand that if you don't follow procedure and policy, that's why they're there. This policy was flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I am to criminally charge a nurse who was clearly trying to do the right thing is so shameful, and the precedent set is so scary that now any nurse could be criminally charged and you're going to fill the jails with this poor sucker?
Right.
This woman who got fucking railroaded by an enormous university hospital?
Right. And supposedly, like in other articles, it said she went immediately and said, I did this, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, you have to fill out an incident report, leave the record, come to my office, we'll fill out the incident report so we make sure it's right. But it wasn't immediately done. She was going to do it immediately. They said, you know what, wait, let's go back, let's go over it.
So all this is telling me
don't put it in the chat.
Cover your ass.
Right. Don't put it in the chat. Let's go do which she was given bad advice. And she followed it because she's probably
scared shitless.
And how can you imagine how bad you feel? I mean, I can't imagine how bad you feel.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Why is there no code card in this?
It might have been, but I don't know that she knew she gave it to her right when she gave it to her. I think when she started coding in the scanner, then they realized. Then they did work on her, but it was she was already in she's in a CAT scan.
All right.
And you're stable. You're not on any, you're probably not on a monitor.
Oh, so they didn't know she was anoxic
until.
Got it. Okay. All right. Because I'm like, why wouldn't? I don't know.
Do you know what
I do?
They did. They did work on her when they realized,
yes.
But I think
they didn't realize
she was stable. She was going.
They gave her the Versed and put her in the tube, and then realized.
And then, oh shit, she's not breathing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. This case infuriated me.
Yeah.
I think it's complete bullshit. I do think she should have lost her license.
I completely agree.
Whether I think she should have lost her license or not, I should say this. I can get behind it. I can say, yes, that was appropriate actions.
Yes.
On no level should she ever be sitting in a fucking jail because of this.
And I don't understand. You reviewed this.
Mm-hmm. And okayed it. But it's like once the state stepped in, Vanderbilt's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa,
no, but it's not Vanderbilt that revoked her license. No. The nursing board did.
But Vanderbilt all of a sudden wasn't behind her anymore.
Oh, they fired her almost immediately.
They fired her, but now they're backtracking a lot on what they're saying and what they did. And I just feel like if anybody should go to jail, it should be fucking Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
The CEO of Vanderbilt. Like, you set this up. This is the problem. We have a bunch of hospitals, as we've talked about before, run by people who don't do the fucking job.
Yes.
We're putting a bunch of computer shit in so that we can limit the amount of staff of actual breathing human beings who pick up mistakes out there. And I don't like it. I
No.
just don't like it. Where people have gotten lax and complacent, and this is the shit. I'm not saying she was lax or complacent. I wasn't there.
But we're complacent with the workaround.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
complacent with, I have to override twice to give heparin.
And we're complacent
Shouldn't have to override anything to
that
give
we
it.
think the hospital's going to help us out.
Oh, yeah, no.
And she could have carried all the medical malpractice she wanted.
Yeah.
Didn't stop her from getting convicted criminally.
Well, that's like I have malpractice insurance. That doesn't help me.
At all.
If
It's
they
like criminal charges.
give
are
me
like-
criminal charges,
Yeah.
it does nothing for me. You know, like it doesn't help you.
No.
There's no helping you.
So we're going to cover another one. And then by all means, I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. It infuriates
I
me.
want to hear your opinion on it. However, the people who are of the opinion that this could never happen to them are the people that scare me the most, to be honest.
It could happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody. You are short-staffed. You are burned out. You are running around like insane people. You have way more patience than you should. The
think if
acuity of patience is higher.
Right. If you think it can't happen to you, you're one of the complacent. Because you should always be on high alert.
Right.
Anything could happen to you.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
We are human. We make mistakes.
It happens all the time. You get just, you're doing something. You're not supposed to, like, okay, say that count.
Mhm.
Our counts. You are not supposed to interrupt us during our counts. We're interrupted
Constantly.
155 times.
But even that Pixis, do you
Yeah.
know how many times I think I'm hitting what I want? And I might hit the other one by accident.
Yeah.
And then I pull it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
Wait till you hear the next one. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I covered this other one because I thought it would be really straightforward.
Mhm.
Then I watched the body cam videos.
Mhm.
I talked to my husband.
Mhm.
Different opinion.
Mhm.
Talked to a cop. Different opinion.
Mhm.
And I'm dying to hear yours on it.
I
So-
have to say, Nicole said to me, "Oh, please watch these videos before we record so you'll know what I'm talking about." And I said, "Okay, I don't like to watch videos like the psychopath Nicole is." And so I'm in bed last night. Why? He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nicole's making me watch these videos. I'm really upset about it. And I don't like watching these at all."
But you need to see it
Ugh.
because I can't explain it.
I was so mad. I was like,
Okay.
"I can't believe she's doing this. She knows I don't like this."
I didn't like watching it, to be honest with you.
Oh, I hate it.
All right, so let's start with, you got John Neville. He's a 56-year-old man
Mhm.
from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Mhm.
He is arrested on a misdemeanor. There's conflicting of what he was actually arrested for, but it's a misdemeanor.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, he's booked into jail that night.
Mhm.
The night this happens is his first night in jail. All right, it's April 4th. Oh, another April.
No.
2019. Michelle, I'm not going to pronounce her, Huggins, she's charged with the death of John Neville, who was an inmate at Forsyth County Jail, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. There are 2 body cam videos of the incident.
Mhm.
One takes place in the cell he's in,
Mhm.
and it's like 6 minutes long. Then there's video of them transferring him in one of it's a transfer chair. They're handcuffed in it. He's got a spit mask on, and the rest of the 25 minutes takes place in a separate cell.
Mhm.
So they're called, Michelle Huggins and the detention officers are called to his cell by his roommate.
Michelle's the nurse.
Michelle's the nurse. They think he seized or something, and he fell from the top bunk.
Mhm.
My husband's like, the top bunk's not that high. I said, if one of them stands up, that bunk's 4 to 5 feet high. And it's a cement floor.
Right.
So by the time the officers arrive, Neville is on the floor,
Mhm.
and his legs are on the bottom, or they're bent up or something.
Mhm.
You can't really see his legs. There's already officers in there, and he's on his back, and they're holding his arms and legs, and he is out of it.
Mhm.
All right, he's sweating.
He's post-ictal.
He's either post-ictal, or I was almost like, is this a head injury?
Either one.
Right.
Yeah.
When you walk in, there's something wrong with John
Yes.
Neville. He is fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay? He's sweating. He's already vomited on himself. He is not
Mhm.
responding to her, and she's like, John, 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 and she keeps hitting him. And then she sternal rubs him. And he comes to, and he goes right back out again.
Mhm.
And she's like, don't make me do it again. Don't make me, because a sternal rub is
It
not a
hurts.
pleasant
No.
experience. She sternal rubs him again. This time when he comes to, he's combative, indicative of a head injury. Or maybe he's on something,
Mhm.
because it's his first night, so he could be
Mm-hmm.
have ingested something before his arrest, and he's still on.
Yeah. Also, just confused. This is your first night there. You had a seizure. You're post-ictal. You wake up and you're like,
Right.
where the fuck am I? And people are holding me down.
Right, but he's confused through the whole thing.
No, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying all of it could be just he had a normal seizure. It could be he was on. It's like so many things it could.
Oh, I could just tell you in the first 6 minutes, first 30 seconds, you knew something was wrong with
there
John.
was something.
Okay,
Definitely wrong,
so he's combative, and I'm going to say, at no point is anybody unkind or aggressive to him or yelling.
Did I say that to you last night? To Mike, I literally was sitting. I said, "Okay, I'm not going to say the outcome," but I was like, Mike, the whole time they're like, "Hey, John.
Yep.
Hey, John, buddy, come on, pal." Like they're not being mean. They're not being
stated
aggressive.
from the beginning. They're not in there for any other reason than he is having a medical emergency.
He's like,
and they're there to help
you're
you.
having a medical emergency. You gotta let us help you. You gotta let us help. There's
Right.
something medical wrong with you. And it's like they are very kind to
Right.
him
The whole time. The whole time.
Respectful.
Right.
Yep.
So he is yelling for his mother. He's yelling to get up. He wants to sit up and he wants to sit up. And this isn't a point at any time where he's like, I can't breathe or anything. He wants to sit up. He wants to get out, but he's confused.
And people hold him
and
down.
you want to hold him down also so he doesn't hurt himself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So that video ends, and the next time you see him, he is in this restraint chair with the spit mask. And they've now called in, they call it the CERT team. It's the special response team to the jails. I'm getting conflicting answers as these people are called every time they move an inmate. I mean, you're talking, we're in a prison, so policies are very different in a prison, okay? Because it's safety is bottom line of the people involved.
Right.
So for whatever reason, this special response team is brought in to move him from his cell to another cell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he is being brought to this other cell. I don't know if he's being brought there for observation. It does not look like an infirmary, so it's just a single bed cell that they're bringing him to.
I'm assuming because there's something wrong, they're bringing him to, so he's in a single room.
Like, I don't know if you call an ambulance, are they allowed to go into the jail or do you have to bring them someplace where the ambulance? I don't know.
Right.
Okay. There's a lot of unanswered questions for me to really make a very solid decision about this case. So, and when he was in the initial video, she's trying to take his temp. She's trying to take a blood pressure. She does, but all she has is that fucking blood pressure cuff and a stethoscope. She has no other equipment to help this man with. Okay. So now he's in the restraint chair and he's sitting up and he's got the spit mask on and he's got it on because he's got blood on his face. He's got vomit on his face. They don't want to get it on them. It's, you don't know what he has. And it looked to me like at one point he's literally talking to his mother who is not there. And he's just kind of dazed. He's out of it. They're talking to him. We're going to move you, John. And they're explaining, but he's not really saying much to them. He
wanted his ammo because his wrist hurt or something.
Yes.
But he fell from a bunk.
Right. And she again tries to take his blood pressure while he's in this chair. Then they have now taken him from the chair, which you don't really see that part. And they take a mattress from the bed, which is it's like looks like a gym mat. Like it's probably about as thick as if you were doing gymnastics. And they put it on the floor. They put him face down on the mat. Mm. And again, everything I'm watching looks like it was from a fucking textbook. Very policy ridden.
The guy, the person who was running it, was
very
very clear.
Right.
Okay, now we're gonna put him down.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna do this.
He was doing it. I don't know if those people were
following
new.
a book.
They were literally. It was. I don't know anything about it, but you could tell it was play by play. Now you're gonna do this. Now please do this. Now you do.
Now
this.
you have the leg. I have a leg. You have a leg.
It was very clear. It was not chaotic. It was very, very clear.
So they lay him down on the mattress. Let's see. I'm telling the story and I'm not even looking at my notes. All right. Because I do write the video down. I'm not going to go over I'll go over some of the times. All right. So they lay him down, face down. Mm-hmm. He starts to flip his leg and he's screaming, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Mama, help me. Get off of me. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Okay. The reason he is down on his face is they're trying to take the handcuffs and the shackles off of him. The handcuff key breaks. That is probably about, let's see, I'm going to say it's probably about 5 or 6 minutes into the video, the handcuff key breaks and they can't get the cuffs off of him. Mm-hmm. And you can still see his hands are moving in the cuffs. And in the beginning, he is very aggressively yelling, I can't breathe. But you can hear him starting to get quieter and quieter as it's going on. About 10 minutes into the video is when you hear him start being like, he's just kind of grunt now. He's not really yelling at them anymore. He's just kind of grunting. Probably about 10 minutes, 25 seconds, they bring in bolt cutters. But the bolt cutters don't work. Mm-hmm. And at this point, you're not hearing John speak anymore at all. But I'm looking on the video, and I can't tell if it's him moving his hands or they're hitting his fingers or what's going on. The bolt cutters don't work for whatever reason. At about 11 minutes in is when I'm looking. It looks like his fingers are moving and stuff. At about 15 minutes and 41 seconds, somebody's like, "Oh, I think he's sleeping." Mm-hmm. I think he's sleeping. At 17 minutes, the cuffs come off, and they all exit very procedurally. Yes. Like, one's going up, they were like in a line, and they all leave, and he's on the mat, and they leave, and they shut the door. During this entire video, you cannot see the nurse. I don't know where she is. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's... We'll get into that. You don't see the nurse in this video.
And because I think they're trying to do this.
Right.
Take the cuffs off in a safe way.
Right.
So she wouldn't be in the room.
So we'll get into that later, because there's so much I have to say about this, okay? But you don't physically see her. Mm-mm. Once they exit the cell, which is probably about at 20 minutes, they shut the door, and it's got, a little window in it, and she's standing at the window. And then she's looking, I'm assuming she's looking at the officers. And she's talking, she's concerned, that he's not moving and he's not waking up. And he's still on his face. So when they exit, he doesn't move a fucking muscle when they exit. So she's so what? It's at 22:50. They finally go back in. Mm-hmm. And they kind of bring him up on his side now. Yeah. He hasn't moved. She's listening for heart sounds. She's listening for the carotid pulse. She's feeling for the carotid pulse. It probably takes her 30 to 40 seconds. Mm-hmm. She calls for the AED. Yeah. She calls for the AED. CPR is started, and the video ends at 25 minutes and 40 seconds. Mm-hmm. She is indicted. All right. John dies. Yes. Okay, they do 2 days later, he dies. And everybody is indicted. The 5 CERT officers are indicted, and Michelle is indicted, and it is brought to a grand jury. Mm-hmm. The grand jury chooses not to indict any of the 5 officers involved and only indict her. Mm-hmm. And she is going on trial for involuntary manslaughter.
I don't understand.
This month.
I just don't understand it.
So, questions that Nicole has about this case. Number 1, was 911 called before they even go to the cell? At what point is 911 called? Because that's a half an hour from when he's on the floor. It's more than a half an hour, because the second video is a half an hour. Mm-hmm. And as I said, when I watched the video, I immediately know this guy's fucked up. And I would have already called 911.
I wonder, though, yes, if I was home and I found someone like that, I would call 911. I wonder, in a prison or a jail, when do you call? Is there a certain level you call at? Do you need this, and then you call 911 because of the safety reasons? But
I can tell you, my husband deals with prisoners all the time. Mm-hmm. You say you have chest pain, 911. They're not taking the responsibility of saying you're faking or anything. And maybe this jail, like many, are out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Right, and it's
taking them a half an hour to get there.
Right.
But he's clearly fucked up. All right?
Yes.
What is her nursing background?
Right.
How many years experience does she have in doing what?
Right.
Because we're trauma nurses. I can look at him and know immediately there's a problem. Mm-hmm. And how I would have handled it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying she handled it, just how I would have handled it. Mm-hmm. So I want to know that as well before I can make any judgments on her. And I would love to know, I need to know what the policies for that jail are. Is it he has to be secured before you can go in and take care of him? What, she's clearly out for a reason. She couldn't have fit in that cell anyway.
No, I assume you have to be secure. And even when she was trying to get the blood pressure the first time, when he woke up and would move, they made her back up.
Right.
When she tried to get it in the chair and he swung his arms, even though he's cuffed,
exactly,
they made her back up.
Right.
So I'm like, I think there's certain things that I would have liked to do. I don't know that you're allowed to do them.
So I need to know what the policies are of this. So now the coroner rules that he dies from asphyxiation, from being on basically positional asphyxiation. Yes. So I talked to a police officer about this, who agrees with me. They're obviously following our procedure. He goes, he looks to me like he's having an overdose from cocaine because he's sweating, his heart's racing, this and that. I would like to know what the toxicology report came back from. Because a part of me, I don't think what they did helped, but a part of me thinks that the process was already beginning before they ever lay their hands on him.
Right.
Their like whether I agree with what their policies are, I think they are clearly following a policy.
They are. They were clearly following. Right. Literally, none of them did the wrong. Like they did exactly what they were. And it was before it was done. It was you're going to do this. You're going to. It was very very clear what they were doing.
At one point, you see his feet. And okay,
I was like, he's dead.
He's dead. You could see his feet of gray.
Yeah,
he is a black man. It is not easy when a Caucasian person loses oxygen. Almost instantaneously, they turn a funny color, and you can tell. People of any color, they don't look the same as a Caucasian would. So if you are not used to seeing people of color with anoxic injuries, you're not going to know.
Right.
But when you look at his feet in the video, they're gray.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a bad sign. So I watch the video, and then I come home, and I asked my husband, I texted him ahead of time, watch this video, because he works with prisoners all the time. You know, he works in a courthouse. It's not the same as a correctional facility. It's different, but he's still working with prisoners who have medical emergencies all the fucking time, especially if you tell them they're getting held, everybody's got chest pain.
Yeah. Well, I would too.
Right. So I come in, I'm like, Brian, what did you think? They should all go to fucking jail.
What?
I was like, my words exactly. What? They should all go fucking jail. Has nobody heard of positional asphyxia? I've known that for decades. You can't keep somebody on their face. They kept him on his face for 30 minutes. The guy who with George Floyd didn't intend to kill him, but by keeping him on his face for that long, that's what happens. He went on a rant about positional asphyxia. I'm like, what are they? They were trying to get the cuffs off of him.
Yeah. Yeah, but they weren't kneeling on his neck.
No, and that's what I said. I said he was kneeling on his back. Devil's advocate. When the bolt cutters didn't work, or when you were waiting for the bolt cutters,
move him.
You could have sat him up or put him on his back.
Right.
All right. You could have sat him up. You could have sat him on the bunk.
Yeah.
So there were so many unanswered questions. The most of which, why are they targeting the fucking nurse who had the least contact with this man? They're saying she was. So my husband's like, she was negligent. She was negligent.
How?
I said, Brian, negligence is my patient's bleeding on the table and I go to fucking lunch and leave nobody there. Yeah. That's negligent. He's like, no. I said, because of course he's going to the legal term of negligence. I said, she wasn't fucking negligent. Look at what she has for equipment. She got that fucking stethoscope and that blood pressure cuff. She's whipping that blood pressure cuff all the time. I said, she's got that's all she has. She has no monitors for this guy. And how is she going to get them on them if the policy is she can't touch him till it's safe?
Right.
I said, her hands were literally tied. And she's the only one who recognizes he's not breathing. Had she not been there, they probably would have left him in the observation cell and found him dead the next morning. Yeah. I was like, we were at it for an hour and a half in the middle of the night talking about this fucking case.
I mean, again, maybe there's other things, but per that body cam, I don't know what she could have done
differently.
I mean, maybe reacted faster.
She maybe could have... Again, devil's advocate. I wasn't there. I don't know her background. If she was a newer nurse, I was just explaining to somebody, my girlfriend's daughter's going to nursing school. And I said, she really should start working in a hospital. She needs to find her voice. I don't know if this nurse found her voice. Because if I was concerned, like, watching the video, I'm concerned when he's not talking anymore.
Well, I said to him, I go, okay, now. And he's like, what? I said, well, he was saying, I can't breathe. Get off me. I said, and then it's, I can't breathe.
Right.
Get off me. Right. Like, you can tell the way he's talking. I'm like, he's dying.
So at that point, I would have said to them, you need to roll him over and let me check. In there. But I can only think she's standing outside the door.
But she's remember they said, get the nurse. And they yelled, whatever they yelled. But it's not like she was right there.
Then why isn't she there?
I think because
it's a medical thing. Right, but it's a medical emergency. Your whole reason to deal with this guy is he's having a medical emergency.
But I think they have to get him secure in the thing.
This is what I mean. Yeah. I can't make a judgment without knowing what that place's policies are. And we're down south. Maybe they're a little behind the times. I don't know maybe they're right on it. Right. I don't know what their policies are. So
I just don't know how you get involuntary manslaughter from that.
He was like, and then I talked to Paul, who's a cop. He's like, none of them should have been fucking indicted.
No.
They were doing what they were told to do. So if you're following the hospitals or the jails, if you're following policy and procedure to the T and somebody dies, how are you held negligible? How are you held criminally responsible?
Right.
How is she fucking responsible for this?
And she went in right when they called her.
Right.
She was there right
She
when they called her.
initiated CPR immediately.
She
And
did,
he's like, well, there's no ventilations. I'm like, nobody's going to put their mouth on him.
You don't have to.
Right.
That
And he
is
knows
not-
that. He's a fucking CPR instructor.
You do not have to give breaths.
No. I said,
Nor
she initiated.
would I give breaths
No, I
to
said,
that person.
nobody.
No.
If they don't have an ambu bag, nobody's touching his mouth.
Nope.
I said, you're in a jail. These people have everything
Even
under.
if I were on the street and didn't know the
Yeah,
person, I'm not
exactly.
giving breath. You don't.
If
have
I don't
to.
know the person, exactly.
You do not have to.
Exactly. So
Right.
I was like, you cannot hold that against her.
No.
So now she goes on trial with a bunch of people who know nothing about nursing, and they're going to convict her.
I just
don't
would love to know what the grand jury had that said these officers who were there when he was dying, not blaming them. I'm not blaming them. They literally, it looked like they did it per
Perfect.
policy.
Yep.
I don't know the policy, but it was very clear what they were doing.
Yeah. There was
We're
no
not-
renegade
and they were
moves.
being, hey John, please calm down. You know,
Mhm.
we're trying to get these cuffs off. Please stop fighting. We have to get
We're
them
here to
off.
help
the key
you.
broke. We're here to help you. You know, relax. Like,
Mhm.
They were very kind to him. Not saying,
Right.
I know the poor man died, but they didn't do it.
Malicious.
They weren't just
because what happened was
kneeling on the guy.
immediately there were riots when this, because this happens in 2019. There were riots over
Mhm.
this. Nothing racial about this incident, and I think they asked for the video to be released, and I think that's why. So you could see this was not a racial incident. This was not a
No,
hate
it
crime.
wasn't unkind.
No,
It wasn't
It was not a black
Hey,
white thing at all.
asshole,
Yes.
like, you know, lay down. It was very kind and well. I know that sounds stupid. Well handled.
Right.
I would love to know what they have in front of them, though, that said these officers who did the event that led to the death are not
I
responsible.
think so. Paul's theory is they had to go after somebody, so they went after her. They couldn't go after the cops because it would become this big thing, and they didn't want any more riots. Or I forgot how he's gonna call me after this episode and be like, "That's not what I fucking said." But he said, like, the way he worded it was like they had to go after somebody. They couldn't go after them, so they went after her. Which, that's bullshit.
I just can't imagine what she could have. I don't understand. I just don't understand what could be written there or what they have that would show that she is criminally
they
negligent.
Only one, the grand jury indicted. So if you want to know, you want to see this body cam video, you can go on YouTube and watch it. It's John Neville, Forsyth County Jail, Winston, South Carolina. There's 2 videos. One is 6 minutes long, and one is about 25 minutes long. And you have to watch them both because her life is ruined. And nobody wants to be a jail nurse to begin with.
No.
And now you're going to, I mean, they're working under such different circumstances than a
terrible.
normal nurse.
And she's the only one there.
And she's the only one there. It's like 2 a.m.
She's a little tiny thing.
Yeah, she's the only one there.
You're right, though. I don't know if she has a voice. I don't know how that jail or prison or whatever it is runs. I know we get prisoners, and one time, like they shackle them. We have to unshackle for the case, but they wait till they're under anesthesia, and then they unshackle them, and then they put it back on before they wake up. So they put the shackles on, and I was like, oh yeah, this is too tight. He's like, what? And I'm like, this is too tight. And he's like, they're supposed to be tight. I'm like, no, I realize that, but see how that one. It gives a little, it's not going to break his skin. I said, he's going to come back here with
skin breakdown.
And we're going to have to do surgery on that. Like I said, just look at, see, can you just make it like that? I know he wanted to kill me. I'm speaking up he's still my patient.
Like I said, I mean, if I were in there and I'm just devil's advocate, if I had to have done anything differently than she did, I would have made sure 911 was on the way the moment I came in the fucking place and saw him on the ground like that. Only for this reason. I don't think there should be any policy to delay 911 if you think it's warranted. But
to be also devil's advocate, you walk in there, you think if the cellmate is saying he had a seizure,
right,
and that's what you think, he did look post-ictal.
Yes, but he also fell from the top bunk.
Right, which I'm not saying, right, but
that was what got me more than anything.
Right.
He has fallen from the top bunk.
Right.
You have to have him scanned or or whatever. And then when he's in the second cell and he starts quieting down, I would have been like banging on the door. you got to roll him over.
Yeah.
You got to check him. See, he's getting quiet. Something's going on here.
Right.
Because then at least you could have said whatever was going on was the reason he was going down, not the positional asphyxia.
Right.
So
I just don't know. The way they yelled for her didn't seem like she was right there.
Right.
I
But
feel
again,
like she was back.
that's another thing. We don't know where she was.
Right.
Because you don't see her. So it's hard to form a
I'm
judgment.
just, I don't know that she
Right.
knew he was quieting down because
That's my
he was
point.
calm. All of it. Like, okay, yeah, I'm going to let you do this.
This is a very tough scenario because to me, there was a lot of questions out there. The body cam video doesn't show me.
Right, but it's not like it's not showing or it cuts out or
Right.
it's showing the whole fucking thing.
Right.
That's how I'm like, how do you get an indictment on this? I don't.
And the state, I believe, has settled with, I believe there's money that's already gone to the family. I mean, his son is
yes, I mean,
very, very well spoken, very nice guy, and he's like, I'm not going to get my dad back. He's like, so nothing's going to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
He's more concerned with why not that she was indicted, but more than why her and not everybody else.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to indict her, you got to indict everybody.
Right.
And if you're not going to indict, you can't indict her.
Right. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know why she's left holding the bag. It's bullshit.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah. It's
and if
complete
she's
bullshit.
found guilty, I just can't. More information
If
has
she's
to come out.
found guilty on the tails of this Vanderbilt case,
Oof.
there's going to be a fucking uproar with nursing.
Even just with the Vanderbilt case, that's
it's
all you
scary.
hear.
It scares me.
It's all you hear.
Our hospital put out a statement about it. And did you get the email? They put out a statement right after it. You might not have been working those days. About, I didn't even read it because I don't care what they say. That shit happens at our place. You're going to be left out to dry.
Yeah.
They are not going to. They'll say all day long, we'll cover you, we'll help you out. No. Nope. They're not going to.
I feel like, though, at least, I feel like the place we work would, when something
wouldn't have
happens,
covered-
they report it.
Yeah.
They report it.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do.
And you hear about it. Like
No, they absolutely do. And they try to fix it.
Yep. If everything changes, you get 8 million policy changes, and you try to fix it because that is the point of reporting it. If you are going to criminally charge nurses for mistakes or doctors or whoever, people are not going to tell you what mistake happened, and then you're not going to be able to fix it going forward.
Right.
And that's dangerous.
But you need to know if you make a mistake, and it's a mistake, that you're not going to be thrown in jail for
That's
it.
what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
people are going to cover it up because they're going to be
they don't want to go to
afraid.
jail.
And then the whole system is just going to still suck, and more mistakes are going to happen that way.
Yep. It's scary.
It's very scary.
So, would love to hear the emails. Send them on in. Send them on in.
This poor nurse, I just have to find out what happens with this.
She's
jail
going to
nurse.
trial. I think I wrote it down. She goes to court on May 20th, I think it is.
Oh God, it makes me sick.
May 22nd. She's going into court.
Oh my God.
And it's going to be It's going to be quite an interesting case. I wonder, somebody had put that on Facebook, and you had told me about it as well. And then I started looking it up. I'm like, this is complete bullshit. But watching the video, to hear my husband come out with,
I can't
Everybody
believe
should
he
be-
said that.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Oh, no, you didn't. The cats left the room. I'm like, it's going to get ugly. Are you kidding? And then he's like, well, I think it's very interesting. You're defending the nurse. Paul's defending the police. I said, and you're fucking thinking everybody should go to jail. What is your problem?
Put us all in prison.
I said, who are you? This is bullshit. When he gets his
Yeah.
head behind something, my husband. There ain't no saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, an hour and a half. He got up. He couldn't even sleep anymore. He was like, I'm all riled up now. I was like, and then after hearing Paul side with me, he is
dug in.
dug in on the positional asphyxia. He is dug in on that.
Which I understand. At the same time, when you're doing it, which I get, you probably should. There should be some sort of timer or something, and maybe
Right.
that will change. Like, okay, we've spent 5 minutes on this. Get him
Right.
up. Put him back in the chair. We'll try again.
Right.
I get whatever. However, when you're in it and you're, fuck, that's broken. Shit, those aren't working. You're not thinking, oh, wait, it's been 10 minutes. It's
Right.
been 15 minutes.
And
you're like, fuck, I got to get something that works.
From what I
they weren't
understand-
panicked. They were calm.
Right. Part of the positional asphyxia is like when you're hogtied and your legs are up.
Yes, because you.
And your
all
arms
that.
are back. Everything's pushed on
Yeah.
you. In that video, I'm pretty sure she says straighten his legs out
Yes.
because he is on his stomach.
Yeah.
And so they're aware of it. And they're not leaning on his neck. They're
No.
not, his face is clearly wide open.
Yes.
And it's not that they're leaning on his face, but everybody's got a limb.
Well, because they're trying to get cuffs
Right.
off.
And
Yeah.
if they come off, you have to make sure,
Everybody has a limb.
he's not searched.
Mhm.
You don't know. They carry shanks and toothbrush shanks and all
Mhm.
kinds of shit. You don't know what he's got in there. There are instances that people are faking it
Mhm.
just to hurt. So, I mean, they're coming from a very different background
Than a
than
lay
anybody
person.
that's going to be on that jury.
Right.
They're coming from a very different
Mhm.
background because their whole job is worried, is somebody going to kill me today?
Mhm.
And I would never want to work in an environment
No.
where I worry that everybody's going to try to fucking kill me.
Right.
Or everybody's trying to manipulate me.
Right.
Or everybody's lying to me.
Right.
With all that knowledge,
Mhm.
I thought they handled it. Like you said, he died. So clearly something went wrong.
Yes. I'm
But
not saying it
They
didn't.
are obviously following a procedure.
It is
here.
not the things you see when they're on the street
Right.
waiting for somebody with their knee on a neck.
Right.
It is not that.
No.
It is
No.
not that. And I'm not just saying, I am the first to say the other thing, wrong. You were
Mhm.
wrong. You should be in prison. I said to him, literally, I watched it and I said, Mike, they were so kind and respectful the entire time.
Right.
They were not trying
This was an accidental death
to
because
degrade him, to
Yes.
hurt him, to do anything
force him to
bad
do-
to him.
yes.
Nothing.
right.
I said you could see it. Like, I mean, you see other things and you're like, obvious. Okay,
Yeah.
you're an ass.
This is bullshit. Yeah.
This, not that.
I agree.
Not that.
I agree with you 100%. Paul agrees with us.
Yeah, and
Brian-
I'm not.
Brian
like,
doesn't agree
yeah.
with us.
Yeah, that's
They should all go to jail. What?
What?
Are you out of your fucking mind?
It's so bizarre, and they all lost their jobs.
But she is looking at, I mean, involuntary manslaughter is easy 5 years. What joy are you going to get out of giving her 5 years? Go after her civilly if you feel you need to. Go after all of them civilly. But
I just,
to put her in jail?
I
Bullshit.
can't.
Bullshit.
I just can't. I don't know what she. If that would, to me, you would have had to sit there and be like, I don't know, let him lay there for a little bit, and then
Exactly.
we'll come back in an hour. Like, I
She's
mean,
fluttering around him like a fucking butterfly. Let me get this. Let me try this. I'm going to give him temp. She's trying.
yeah,
But I think she's being restrained back because of what is going on with him. Like the cuffs and the breaking. She's being detained to get
Right.
to him. She can't get to him yet.
right.
So, and she's the only one standing at the door to see what's going on with him. Like I said, had she not been there, they probably wouldn't have found him till the next morning or till the next bed check.
Yeah.
You know? So, these are 2-something cases. This could be a 4-hour episode. I mean, these are only the tip of the ice. I mean, there's that, I still want to cover that Dana-Farber case.
Yeah.
There's the heparin case. The kid got too much heparin. I mean, there's mistakes that are out there.
Mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah.
And
It's how you handle them. That is
what you do, how you fix them,
how you handle it.
how you handle it. It's mistakes are always going to happen.
Mhm.
There are always going to be mistakes. You try to make them as little as possible. That's why you come forward and you say, "This mistake was made. Let's change what we do."
This is why we've got so many fucking policies and they change all the time.
Mhm.
And they're changing. And I am not a policy procedure person. I shouldn't say that. I will follow policy and
Yes.
procedure, but if you think I'm going to quote you page 3, section 2,
Right.
like other people we work with, that's not going to happen. I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm yelling and screaming about the way I'm seeing some things done now because I think people are veering away from policies.
Mhm.
And you'll never thought these words would come out of my mouth when I say to people, the policies are there for a reason. I'm like, who the fuck am I? I'm turned into my mother. The policies are there for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason we do counts a certain way.
Yeah.
You can't make up your own fucking idea of how a count should be done.
No.
You follow procedures for a reason.
Right.
Because if you make up your own rules, something bad's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But if you don't report something happening,
You
you're not
can't
going to get
fix
those
it.
policies in place to
Right.
help prevent it from happening
Right.
again.
Our quality assurance girls are working double time.
Oh my God.
They're
yeah.
con. Because then you get the people who just write fucking safety reports because, I don't like her. She's blonde. Safety report. I'm like, somebody wrote a safety report for that? I would have just gone to you and been like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I got a problem.
Yeah.
Not, but that has nothing to do with policy.
Yeah.
Well,
The
procedure.
boots got turned off. They write a fucking safety report on. Are you kidding me?
Right.
All right, the boots were on for 35 hours. The battery went dead. It wasn't plugged in. He went 10 minutes without the boots. Not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to write you. I'm going to just tell you, plug your boots in next time.
Right. Hey, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a very
Because if this is what's going to
slippery
happen, people
slope.
are not going to admit mistakes, and then you're going to have more mistakes.
I mean, this isn't a doctor death thing where 30 patients die or, a Munchausen thing where she's killing 12 patients on a floor. This was a mistake.
It was
These are
a
mistakes.
medical mistake.
Both of them mistakes.
Yeah.
All right. So it was a mistake. That being said, we would love to hear your feedback.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get some emails from this because it's a very hotbed topic.
Yeah.
So write to us and maybe throw in some suggestions for summer series because I still don't know what the fuck we're gonna do.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out. Somebody's getting eaten by something. Somebody's falling off of something. A leg is gonna go missing somewhere.
Oh yeah.
You know how I love my summer series. Maybe Mike will draw us up some crazy summer series shirts. Right, Mike? Right? You hear that? Yeah, okay. Mike's like, what the fuck? Whatever.
I'm on the phone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your May, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.